All right, in this video we're solving quadratic equations with the U substitution. Sometimes we have an equation that looks like this right here, where we've got a very complicated process with this being to the fourth power, this being squared. But if I look deeper into this problem, I realize right here that this x plus 2 squared, if I square this, I get that term there. So to simplify this problem tremendously, I'm going to let another variable, we'll let u equal this term right here, which means u squared is that term right there. And so I can take this whole equation and convert it to a u substitution, which this is going to be u squared minus 17u equals -4. And now this looks much easier to solve. And now I can add 4 on both sides. And then I've got 15u squared minus 17u plus 4 equals 0. And I can do the quadratic formula on this. Okay, so x equals -b plus or minus a square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. My a is 15, that goes here and here. My b is -17, that goes here and here, and then c is 4. All right? And that means x is going to be, I'm sorry, this is u, not x. We're just solving for u here. So this is going to be a positive 17 plus or minus. And my radical down here, I've got 2 times 15, which is 30. And let's see here. 17 squared minus 4 times 15 times 4 is 49. And the square of that's 7, so I'm just going to mark this out and put a 7 here. So it's 17 plus 7, which is 24, divided by 30. Okay. And it's 17 minus 7, which is 10, divided by 30. And of course, both of these simplify, so this one here, 6 goes in that 4 times, so that's 4/5. And in this one, 1/3. All right, so that means u equals 4/5, u equals 1/3. Okay, but we're not solving for u, we're solving for x. All right, well, if you remember, u is this expression right here, x plus 2 squared. All right, so if I bring that back down here, x plus 2 squared, that equals 4/5. And x plus 2 squared equals 1/3. Okay? So, again, I let u be this term here, which gave me this equation, and then this was easy to solve with the quadratic formula, and I got these two values for u. But I let u equal this expression, which means this expression equals these two values. And now I've got to solve this. So, to solve this now, since this is squared, I'm going to have to do a square root of both sides. So that means x plus 2 is going to equal, now since I square root both sides, it's plus or minus. And I'm going to have to conjugate my denominator here, so I'm just going to multiply 5 over 5 here, which will give me 20. This would be the square root of 20 over 25, and then the square root of 25 I can make a 5. Okay, because we can't have a radical in the denominator, and we can't have a fraction in the denominator. And then I'll minus 2, and so x is going to equal -2 plus or minus radical 20 simplifies to 2 radical 5. And there you go. There's one solution. And on this one, I'll do the same thing. I'll square root both sides, which means x plus 2 equals plus or minus radical 1/3. I can't have a fraction in there, so I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 3, which gives me the radical of 3 over 9, and the 9 will come out as a 3, so x plus 2 equals plus or minus radical 3 over 3. And now minus 2. So x equals, negative 2 plus or minus radical 3 over 3. Okay? And that would be my answer there. Now, it seems like maybe they've got it in a different form, which I think they might have it all over this 5 somehow. So what I could do there is I could take this 2 over 1, multiply top and bottom by 5, which would make negative 10 over 5. And now I could put these together and have it negative 10 plus or minus 2 radical 5 all over 5 in one concise thing like that. And I can do the same thing here. I can multiply top and bottom by 3 here, which gives me negative 6 over 3 plus or minus radical 3 over 3, and then I can put these together all over 3, so it'll be negative 6 plus or minus radical 3 all over 3. And so these would be my 2 values for x. Okay? All right, so a lot to think about there. Here's another one. So in this one, if you look at our variables of x, this is x to the negative 1, but if I think about it, this is x to the negative 1 squared. So all I need to do is let u equal this term right here. So that means this is u squared. This is my u. And there you go. I've got an equation now that I can solve real easy. So I can do the quadratic formula. So x equals negative 19 plus or minus the radical negative 19 squared minus 4 times 3 times 20, all divided by 2 times 3, using the quadratic formula. Okay, which is going to give me 19 plus or minus 6 down here. I'm going to punch this in. Let's see here. 19 squared minus 4 times 3 times 20 is 121. And the square root of 121 is 11. Okay, so this is 19 plus 11, which is 30, over 6, which comes out to be 5. And then I got 19 minus 11, which is 8. 8 over 6, which is 4/3. All right, so here's what u equals. Now I put x again, but this should be u. I did it again. It's like instinct or something. But this was supposed to be u here. So this is the values of u. U equals 5. U equals 4/3. Okay, well, I don't need u. I want x. So I go back up here. U is actually x to the negative 1. So it means x to the negative 1 equals 5. X to the negative 1 equals 4/3. Okay, well, x to the negative 1, to get rid of this exponent, I would raise it to the negative 1 power both sides, which makes these cancel off and just gives me x. X equals 5 to the negative 1, and then the negative 1 exponent would put that in the denominator, which would be 1 over 5, and there's one value for x. Right here, x to the negative 1, I raise that to the negative 1 power on both sides, which makes these cancel off, and x equals 4/3 to the negative 1, which would flip this, actually, as a reciprocal, so that make it 3/4. And there's my 2 values of x. Okay. Now, one more like this. I'm going to have to do a u substitution. And again, this term right here, if I let u equal this term right here, okay, if I let u equal this, then this is u squared. So again, I'm going to have u squared minus 19u minus 20 equals 0. And I've got an equation I could use the quadratic formula on. So u is going to equal negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2 times a. Okay, so it's going to give me u equals 19. 2 times 1 is 2, and then on here, I'm going to do this on the calculator. I get 441. Get radical 441 right here. And the square root of 441, that's a 1 supposed to be, is 21. Okay, so 19 plus 21 is 40. 40 divided by 2 would be 20. So u equals 20 is one solution for u. And then 19 minus 20 would be negative 2. And negative 2 divided by 2 would be negative 1 for u. And so there's my solutions for u. Okay, but I'm not looking for u, I'm looking for x. So I need to go back up here. U is actually x to the negative 1/3. So it means right here, x to the negative 1/3 equals 20. X to the negative 1/3 equals negative 1. Okay, so to solve this, well, I'm going to raise this to the negative 3 power. And negative 3 times negative 1/3 will cancel and just leaves me x. And then 20 to the negative 3 power, well, that's going to be a negative. That I'm put in the denominator. And then 20 to the 3rd power would be 8,000, so it's 1 over 8,000. Okay, and there's one solution for x. So over here, I would raise this to the negative 3 power, which makes these cancel off, and x equals negative 1 to the negative 3 power, which negative 1 to the negative 3 power. I made a mistake writing that down. So it should be 1 over negative 1 to the positive 3 power. And then negative 1 to the positive 3 power would be negative 1. So it's just negative 1. So there would be my two values for x here. Okay, so that's solving quadratic equations with a u substitution. So if you have any other questions or need some help, just contact me. All right, bye-bye.